thank the Rockefeller Brothers Fund and the Cuban Arts Fund for supporting his participation. Thank you so much.
Well, it's a total pleasure. Total pleasure to be here. Very enriching meetings. Also, my thanks to the Rockefeller Brothers Foundation and all the Cuban Arts Fund and to all of you for being here today. Thank you so much. Very pleasure. I want to start saying that I'm going to show you a little bit of an overview of the work that I did in the past. This will be the first part of the presentation, and then after I will have a very short ending where I will be showing some discoveries and new things that I found in New York, because I believe that it's also important to show a little bit of what could come after this experience, and we could float a little bit of what will be the next, basically. So, I decided to title this presentation, Can Art Help Us Live? Because in my practice, what I am all the time busy trying to achieve is answers through the art that could be applied for life and that could enrich me as a person and hopefully become something that is valuable and relevant for the life of other people, right? So in that sense, I thought that the best slide that I could show you next is this very early work of mine. I was a student at the university when I did this piece, and the title of the piece is a performance, and the title of the piece is When I Sleep, I Dream I Can Fly. So, basically, the idea behind this performance is to create a sort of a sculpture, a living sculpture, where there is the body of somebody that is naked inside in a kind of like an intimate, but also naive and sweet construction, creating a sort of a simulator of flying, where the body adopts a position that refers to the act of flying, and you have in the face this person that happened to be me 20 years ago, has a ventilator that kind of like help him to control the sensation that he's flying, right? I start from this piece because I had an amazing, beautiful experience with this act, and it happened in Madrid. I got invited to a festival performance with this piece, and we flew all the elements there, and the very same construction happened in Madrid. And then when I started doing the performance, after 15 minutes of doing it, I start feeling the hands of people helping me to fly. So the idea that was going to be a sort of a sculpture that people contemplate and walk around and kind of like sneak through the wall completely changed in the instant that people start to engage themselves with the act of flying on that, naive, romantic boy that wanted coming from Cuba. So think about 20 years ago, Cuba closed, difficult to live. It was a whole event to get the visa actually for me. It was the first time that I went to Europe as well. So I could tell you 100,000 stories that were all amazing about that experience. I don't have the time today. We can talk about that later if you feel like it. So after this experience, I went back to the university where I was studying, and I decided to kind of like explain a drawing what was the type of art that I wanted to pursue and try to achieve in my work. And what you see here, this is a drawing that I did to share with my classmate and with my teacher at the university. What you see here is a type of art A, let's say, that is an object in the middle of the room, a part of the life of people, and something that people can walk around and contemplate. We are seeing in the art A, Caravaggio, Picasso, the tradition of art from the West that we all kind of understand and are familiar with. And B, which happen to be now also part of the tradition, it is this artistic object or artistic result that was my way to try to catch the conclusion that I had of the fact that I was once a sculptor, a living sculpture, and all of a sudden was sharing the experience with those who were working with me in the room. From there, I found it a fantastic transition to say that I decided to do a piece where I was copying the design of my bedroom floor, the floor where I was born and grew up in Santa Clara, Cuba. And then I went with these waterproof stencils that I made to reproduce the same design of my bedroom floor, but this time in the public floors of the city. And the way to do that was by an act of cleaning. So these stencils, waterproof, and a little bit of water that the neighbors were always willing to provide, and patience and love for what I do, and the city, was helping me to create this reproduction of my bedroom floor. And what you see there is just the contrast in between what is clean and what is dirty. So it's just water, time, commitment, patience. Something very beautiful happened in this experience that became something that I did every time that I went back to Cuba. Through 10 years of my life, I went to that corner that still was dirty and giving me the opportunity to have a conversation with the city, with the context and with the people. So what was a very special thing was that the people, once I went from one tile into 220 tiles, it was impossible to walk around that and not pay attention. And once in Cuba people pay attention to something, they start talking. They come to you and they say to you, because I mean, it's part of the culture. And the conversations were fascinating, really. I, for instance, remember very dearly the moment in which young people like, well, they are not here now, but you know, they could be very well sitting in that bench there. And they are those young people that they give up going to the school because it's not handy, and they prefer to kind of like find opportunities that are flowing in the city, you know. Eventually, after passing by a couple of times, one of them looked to me and he said, "Hey guy, what are you doing there?" And I said, "No, I'm cleaning the floor of the city, and by doing so, reproducing the design of my bedroom floor, and bringing a sense of ownership also to the city that belongs to all of us." And I got really romantic and poetic. And the guy said to me, "Ah man, you know, don't bother yourself with fixing all the things. When the revolution will go down, the American will come, destroy everything and do it new again." That kind of things, for me, are a measure, you know, something that give, you know, this, I see this as a provocation that I do to reality to see what I get as a feedback. And those kind of feedback will come to me. I will always remember, for instance, as well, the experience and the beauty of the conversation that I was able to enjoy from a person, a neighbor, that one day decided to bring me a cup of coffee out of the blue, you know? And then from that, they created a ritual in which from the week that I was doing the performance, he would come with a cup of coffee in the morning and talk about Paseo del Prado, this area where I was working, and how this was before the revolution. And you know, all the glamour and all the things that were going on in there. So, in many ways, it is a provocation that got a feedback from reality. Attention. I remember the time that 2 policemen were coming and asking, "What are you doing there?" And I said, "Oh, the same story, you know, I'm reproducing, I'm just a romantic crazy, you know, doing this." And then other people passing by came and say, "Well, and what? Are you gonna get him to jail because he's just cleaning the floor, you know?" So this I also love, the opportunity that we have to deal with situations that can be, controversial or that can get you in problem, but that you find the way to align yourself in that very fine line where you are almost in trouble, but you manage to save yourself. I love this, you know. It's kind of like a shot of adrenaline that also gives me hope, you know, because these guys, the policemen, probably able to do it, they let me work, you know, and that was it, that was cool. That's fantastic also. I moved in 2003 to the Netherlands, and this piece, I think, is a beautiful example of a transition to come from Cuba, a context where there are many dirty things that could be clean and that could Inti Hernandez use as a pretext for work. And this is the central station in Amsterdam. And probably the only dirty thing in public area in the Netherlands is this window that I can show you now. That's crazy. I feel a very lucky person, you know. There was a dirty window for me in the central station of Amsterdam, and immediately I saw opportunity. So I saw this E and N, and I said, oh man, this is gonna be fantastic.
Right.
So I started thinking and dreaming, you know, this is the Netherlands. So this idea of private city, it may be irrelevant, but in the Netherlands there is no sunlight, you know, we miss that a lot. So I saw that window, and not by chance, the window was looking to the east side of the city. So I said, oh, this is a pretext for a beautiful drawing of the sunrise. So I started to, you know, negotiate with the authorities. I did this drawing in one of my notebooks, and I was kind of like you know, landing the idea of creating a drawing of a sunrise out of an act of patience and love and care that will be built slowly but surely, sharing with hundreds of thousands of people that pass by the station, that out of situation of challenging, something positive and beautiful can come out, you know. It was also the time, those were years of 2006, turning to 2008, which was a disaster all over the world. So people were really challenged, and you see the long faces going to the job in the morning and coming back from the job in the evening. So I say, you know, now is the entrepreneurial, you know, I was thinking, well, you know, the central station in Amsterdam is always in chaos because the city is growing, but it has limits, and they are all the time trying to make it the best that they can, but it's always a disaster area, the central station. So I went to the authority and I said, well, listen guys, I have a very beautiful opportunity for you. You know, I come with this idea, if you give me the permit, I will be able to, through me, I'm gonna be able to give a present to the clients and the users that you are all the time bothering with a beautiful image of a sunrise that is taking place, and it's a positive outcome. And then the people were looking to me and smiling to each other like, look, this guy, you know, he is an artist, you see. But I never got the permit to do it, but still it was a beautiful exercise of, you know, dreaming, trying to convince somebody, putting yourself also on the shoes of somebody else in order to convince a person that what you bring is something relevant for them. So it is always, there is always something good to take out of experiences, you know.
Did they clean it up?
They clean it. Oh, that's another amazing story. I have to come back to this one. You know, I did this drawing in 3 weekends. And I say that because at the beginning when I moved to Amsterdam, I couldn't be the artist that I'm today. So I had to work 5 days per week. So for those young artists that are working very hard now to, you know, to earn their beans, we say in Cuba, I was also working very hard fixing pianos, and I need to wake up at like 6 in the morning in order to be at 8:30 in a factory in the Netherlands to work. And I was one of these people that were getting the train every day with a long face, you know, tired and whatever to do my thing. So it is the weekends were the only moment that I had to work, and I came to the same spot, and I was doing my drawing, dreaming with the moment in which I will be defending my case toward them and getting a yes or yes, of course, you know. I mean, no option. So the day, let's say that on Saturday I'm about to finish the drawing, the next day, Sunday, I wake up very early, got my bicycle, and when I arrived, it was totally clean, completely. It was incredible, you know. I couldn't believe it. And then I realized that I was in Amsterdam, you know, the Netherlands. So they have a system that is simply, I am trying to understand how they did that. The dirt was posed in a net that is protecting the window from the pigeon, right? And they have already that clever system in which they are connecting the whole net completely and replacing it for a new one. So don't think that they're going to be cleaning that net. They're throwing away the whole thing and putting a new one, you know? But in a kind of like a one-night job. So it was really remarkable, impressive to see. Good for them. So talking about buildings and basically those places that are hosting the life of people, I understood then that architecture would be a very good, strategically speaking, would be a good way to express my work. So I start with drawings. Architecture is of course a discipline that use humans as the unit of measurement for everything. You know, everything has to make sense. You know, the steps of the ladder have to be reachable. The doors have to be spaces that allow people to pass through. You know, so I did several of these studies on drawing, trying to aim for creating an ideal encounter place, a construction that will allow people to feel welcome and to, you know, come from different paths of life, meeting each other in the middle. And this is one of the first models that I developed from a series of models that now in the studio in Manhattan, I have the very last one. So it's kind of like still one from the oven coming out, you know. This series is called Sendero de Vida, which means in English something like a trail of life. And each of these pieces are kind of like a microcosmos of stories of life of people. In this one, we are talking about different gender and the opportunity that those different genders have to complement each other, to connect with each other. So on one side, the female side, with this beautiful and welcoming staircase, that is a very, you know, special shape because allowed to reach from A to B, from bottom to up, from different directions. There is always a no. There is always a situation in which you will not be welcome. But the situation in which you are is very fluid and flexible. While that one, which in my design responds to what I believe is masculinity, it is a vertical, a straightforward option that is rigid and efficient. Can be handy sometimes, but it's very little flexible. My English sometimes is very good. So in the middle we have a door that is going to be reaching from both universes. So imagine that when you are looking through the door there in the middle, you are able to see a sort of three-dimensional yin and yang. And this is all made with reproducing the same shape of the building, but made with two different colors of wood, even going to the middle in this column that is just coated in half. So it's kind of like a music box in a way, I call them. A lot of time spent to create something that I look forward to forget that I did it, because you know, all the amount of hours, you know, I need to forget that I did it and then I can enjoy it. That's another of these pieces. A lot of sense of labyrinths and surprising sensations made out of the mirror, reflection and illusion. A little bit about life is, you know. From models, I turn my eye into buildings. Well, actually, we will come back to the idea of having an experience, an art piece that is hosting your experience in life. And then this piece happened during my last year in the Rice Academy in Amsterdam. Thank you, Rice Academy. And what you see there is only 1/8 of the structure. So 1/8 of the structure, framed by walls of mirror, create the whole sensation of a building that is taking place. So this is the back side of the piece. My friends and some people that are trying to take care of me, they say that I'm a little bit crazy. No. Because I go with this big major project of something that nobody wants, basically, you know? And then I have this very dear collector who happened to be a successful business lady, and she said to me all the time, Inti, you need to learn that you need to come with something that you need to find out if they want it, and then you can scale it. I said, well, that sounds like a good business strategy, sweetheart, you know? But in my opinion, I believe that as an artist, I probably are playing more safe if I come up with something that is remarkable and crazy and get the attention of them, and then, you know, I mean, in a way challenge life, in a way make the silly one in the situation, or get something out of that is able to develop and to grow, you know. So this piece, the previous piece, is a wonderful example because actually the piece is still in the middle of my studio, driving me crazy. So she has all the, you know, she's spot on in the statement. But on the other hand, thanks to the piece being built, I had the opportunity to get the commission to do this project which I love. And this is the design of a classroom outdoor for the garden of one school in the Netherlands. So I went to meet the client. The client knew that I exist through this piece and through references of other people that they thought you want to make something special in your garden, and this is the guy, you know. So it was kind of like a beautiful introduction. So I went to see the director of the school. We sat one afternoon, beautiful cup of coffee, nice conversation, all my ear listening to what she was saying. And I understood with that conversation that the school was having a remarkable pedagogical system based on the idea of a horizontal pedagogy, which means that the knowledge is being built out of the dialogue, in which students and teachers are talking with each other and creating the knowledge at the end. In that understanding, I designed a piece that is in a way portraying that speaking. So you have the sensation that there is a sort of horizontal dynamic in between two places, a mirror, that once I put a middle point there and turn it around, create an area where somebody can stand and guide the conversation and create a lesson, while in the other side you see all the rest of the people able to sit and listen to the story, to the knowledge that is being expressed. So this, well, first of all, it was a love side, you know. I was very lucky. The teacher, the director, and all the team accepted my proposal. They thought that it was beautiful and representing the spirit of the school. So I did develop this model, and the model was also introducing colors and in a way creating a more playful situation that was coherent with the age, time of the student, which is about high school, I would say. So I have to confess to you that when making this design, I was already imagining the moment in which, you know, two young people will be kind of like confessing the love with each other, you know, in the intimate. That type of, you know, or the place where they could be having a lunch and talking, and, you know, so it was really, I kind of like was creating the atmosphere or the situation for that type of experience to happen. At the same time, coming back to the kaleidoscope idea, I was able to, by positioning again the mirror in the right spot, create the flower design in the floor, which in a way was giving sense to all these abstract ring of color that were coming together, which in a way kind of like represent what the school is all about, you know. The school is this frame in time and space that will give the opportunity to people that are coming with abstract intention, with dreams, you know, to make sense of their capacity, their talent, their skills, you know. So this is the flower that represents the new life, it represents the fruit to come. And then the piece was built. That's I mean, it's amazing to go from the model to this piece in one slide, you know. I could travel 200, but I don't have the time. And I owe you guys all the stories that came out, you know, how to convince the neighbor that were annoying the project, and, you know, I mean, you have to be everything and nothing at the same time, you know. But the project happened. They are now enjoying it.
Did anybody profess their love to one another there, or no?
Sorry, I didn't.
Did anybody say they love each other?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you more. You know, I also too that the kids, because I mean, I couldn't think like that because I belong to another generation. That those kids of today that are all the time with their phone and making, you know, the Instagrams and all the stuff, they go there to the top and they see themselves in certain ways that create flowers also with their own body and their own thing, and they make pictures. So, you know, it gives a very beautiful setting for them to create fantastic images to, you know, to go for the hit, you know, and try to be the coolest. Yeah? So these all things are happening in this, and again we are talking about provocation, you know, we are talking about something that gives life the opportunity to be. This is a dream. This is something, I went with this project to competition and I felt that it was going to be yes or yes, as always, you know. But it wasn't known in the last round. I was a little bit disappointed, but still I found it a beautiful project that I share with you today. So this is a floor. It can be a small square, and it's a square that celebrates harmony and agreement. In there, we are seeing. I want to take the time to explain it because it's such a. I need to do that. I praise that. So let's try to imagine that we are arriving to this square, right? There are beautiful vegetation around. It's so charming and beautiful. You know, the harmony between nature and humans. And then you get in there, and all of a sudden the floor turns from the normal floor that the city was providing into this floor made out of bricks, middle tone color bricks. And this floor has the shape of a size figure, octagon. Yeah? So the direction of the bricks goes in this way, and stay here, change the color, but stay in the same direction because it's in the same level of the ground, right? All of a sudden, when you are radicalizing yourself, which if I may say, when you go one step above reality, the common ground, the position of the bricks completely harmonize with the dynamic of this building, which happens to be in this case something guided by the straight lines in the square dynamic. The same will go with that one, with the light bricks and the cube dynamic. And neither of these extreme positions are going to be allowing you to reach easily the center when there is a drinking fountain, right? So you might come to sense and come down and walk again the path of harmony and the path of peace, basically, agreement. And enter this beautiful room where people can face each other when they sit and they can look to each other eye and have a conversation or simply smile to each other. And they can share water, which is that element that we all need and feel entitled to. So you see that in the middle, we come back again to the subject of the A-size figure. And why the A-size is a very simple answer. The A-size, the octagon, is neither square, neither a circle. So it's a beautiful symbol of this peace in between these two extremes, you know. And there is a detail which is, I believe, like the strawberry on top of the cake, you know. This piece has a very special drain. The water comes out of that point there, and these in there are the letters, these letters, which are the drain of the drinking fountain, and these letters are hiding a word. The word in there is in Dutch, and it is said liefdevol, which means something. Liefdevol means the act of doing something out of love, basically, you know. In Spanish we will say amorosamente or amorosa. Yeah? This drain, liefdevol, is a word with 9 letters, but the L of the beginning is the same one, the L of the end, so it closes completely and hide the word. It is that concept expressed in the word that is keeping the flow and allowing the harmony of the whole material to happen and the water to keep flowing and being shared. So that's the piece. I was meant to be. Going to something a little bit more achievable, we have a design of a bench that participated in the Havana Biennale, and this year, at the end of the year, it's going to be installed in Miami for the related group for Jorge Perez. They acquired the piece and they want to present it in the jar beside a new cultural center that they will create or open in November. So this is being built, inspired in the design of the benches of the 19th century in Havana. You see this design all over the place, although I had to do the piece originally myself. This is a bench, it's called banco todos in one word. So it's a created word from Spanish that combines three words, bench, counting on everyone, basically. It's a, or welcoming everybody. So the design of the bench basically is able to host and welcome people that want to exercise the desire to be alone and contemplate reality, be with themselves. And at the same time, is able to welcome those who want to be together and, share and celebrate a communal area. I believe it's my intention to create a bench that talks about tolerance, talks about dialogue between people, respect. In the middle, you can see how conversation can start easily. In the middle of this other side, there is a tree that goes up and then gives the shadow to the bench. And it's also a beautiful dialogue between nature and people. So there is still the opportunity for a dialogue in the other side. This is another element that goes also to be more compact and possible to do. In there we have the rocking chair, classic subject of Cuban culture. People they love to sit after the lunch and then get a little bit of a relaxing experience before. The twist in this design is that in order to create this collectivity, this collective experience, because all the rocking chairs are tied with each other, it limits the individual rocking motion. So you are individually not able to perform, but collectively you have the opportunity to see each other and talk. So there is this balance of interest. There is a beautiful story about that, which is that I went with this piece to a show that we did with the gallery Hernandez in Amsterdam. It was my latest solo exhibition. And when people were entering the exhibition, you will see other pieces of the show next. The feeling that they had was, oh yeah, so romantic, so, they said cozy, it's obviously the Cuban of the gallery, And I was saying to them, thank you, I feel this is a compliment, thank you so much for what you say. But I remind you that we live in Europe, and the European Union is a construction like this one. It's also a construction that in order to be a collective experience is put in a situation of having to compromise in a lot of, individual capacity of the state and the nations to express themselves and their identity. More of the same city. This was in Havana Bienal and the project Detrás del Muro, which also is an element to mention in this conversation. One of these very, very impressive projects that the Havana Bienal brings every time that the Havana Bienal happens, which we never know if it's every 2 years or every 3 years or every 4 years. It's a fantastic coherent Cuban Bienal. Totally, man. So belonging to the same exhibition, I have this piece, for instance, that you see on the floor, which is, I would say, a version made for a salon of the idea of making saucing on the dirty floors of the city. And I would say, I decided that it was relevant to do versions of this piece in a controlled environment, because I also love and I'm fascinated with the fact that a piece like this one, of the cleaning of the floor, allow us to talk about subjects like for instance, how adversity, situations that are not easy to deal with, can become situations of opportunity where beauty can take place, right? So in that sense, when people enter a place that seems to be chaotic, like after party of a crazy party, and all of a sudden somebody with patience is kind of like restoring beauty and restoring order. In the floor, it is a beautiful metaphor that despite all the rest of the layers of history that you can have when you were doing the action in Havana, and in that particular corner of the city, it will not this will not be there, but still can be relevant. And at the same time, the exhibition it was all full with this type of object, which I call useless object. And this one, for example, is called We Are 30 Yet We Have Time. And it's all the set that you need to create a lemonade, but it's all carved in one piece of wood. So there is a lot of time and a lot of, I would say, good luck also, in order to not spoil this lemon piece to the very last tipping point in there, down that still stay here. Or a piece like this one, called We Are Hungry Yet We Have Time, where you have a fantastic selection of fruits that you can eat, if they will be fruits. Or a piece like this one called It Is Dirty Yet We Have Time, hanging from the wall. This all is a one piece of wood. Or a piece like this one. We are overheated, yet we have time. Talking about overheated situations, this is my last piece from this third time, from this presentation of the work that happened already. And there you have a piece that I dedicated to Cuba and America, and it was made, I would say, too long ago. It is an ice tray that developed ice cubes with the shape of the word friend and the word enemy, made in Spanish and in English. And I say too long ago because I hoped when this peace happened, it was the time of Obama and a lot of reconsideration of the relation, we will be already working in a more collaborative and constructive dynamic that at the end will prevail for those who are right and will challenge those who are wrong. But unfortunately, in my opinion, we are still again back into a situation of confrontation that at the end is very confusing and going to nowhere, in my opinion. So these ice cubes were coming out of the ice tray, are all made out of the same material, and by finding a common goal, they melt into each other, letting go of the differences. There you have again experiences in the life of people, and an art piece that is patient and loving you. And I say that because if you get to the house of your friends and you get these ice cubes in a hotel, in a lemonade, whatever, and then you're not in the mood to see the art in there because you are busy with what is happening and you want to say the story, whatever, these ice cubes are gonna melt and cool down your drink. So out of generosity and all the patience of the universe, they will disappear for you. And they will wait for next time when you are in the mood to see what they are having desired functionality. That's the type of work that I want to develop. That's the first round. If you feel like having now a little bit of a pause or questions if you want, and then I would really love to show you what I'm planning to do with my experience in New York for the future. Anybody have a question or something?
The wood pieces you carved for?
Yeah. The thing that makes it possible and realistic is the fact that what I do is I partnership with a friend of mine in Cuba who is a very skilled guy, studied with me, so we work together. And he's not an artist himself, but he has skills. So I chip there all the super good raw material that you need to do a piece like this and the tools. And he kind of like do the first round of work, which is the wild side of the story, basically. I believe he's a better culture than I am. So I kind of like play safe and find the right partner to work. So he never spoiled any tool and he never spoiled any raw material that I give to him. And once the thing is kind of like close to the final result, I take the piece and I finish it because then it stays with the same spirit of the, you know, the heat of the wood and to create a sort of a style, if I may, you know. Same. That's the strategy that I follow for pieces like this one. If we are talking, for instance, about a project like this one, I have an architect firm that already for ages, we are very good friends, and every time that I have a crazy project, with architecture, they do all the engineering, all the calculation, help me to understand the industry rules and dynamics, and then I only come with the crazy idea, basically. You know? They land it for me, you know, that's how it goes.
How many of these architectural techniques have been completed in your work? This one?
One and one. No, this one, only one.
Well, the school.
The school, yeah. And I have got the big wooden piece in the middle of my studio. Driving me crazy.
Oh yeah. And the bench is traveling.
The bench is gonna be installed, so that's a.
But its ultimate goal is for it to be a public bench.
Absolutely, it's gonna be. You know, so I'm so excited. They already commit also to the tree. You know, I was saying, oh, but you know, let's remember that there is a tree. Oh, no worries. You know, in Miami, we always have a. You know, it's always a good reason to have a tree. You know, so count on that tree. You know, so it's all. I mean, fantastic. You know?
Always a good reason.
I'm so happy. Yeah, I'm so happy with this development. I have to say to you, for instance, about the piece that is going to be installed in Miami. My dream was to do this piece and install it in Havana because it's been inspired with the design of the benches of the 19th century in Havana, and go to Miami and do a design, let's say, in relation with whatever I could find in the archive or whatever that could play with the design of the bench in Miami. The thing that happened is that when I started my conversation with authorities in Cuba, they were, of course, immediately interested to get the piece because also there is other detail that I invite you actually to get to my website and check it because there are all other layers of history inside the piece. Coating, you say coating? Coating Jose Martin. Quoting. How do you say that? Quoting Jose Martin, which is for Cubans the national hero. And this, beside the fact that it's plain saying if you want to appear like a wise person, it's also a relevant move to do if you are talking with parties that are so in disagreement with each other because they both agree that this is the national hero. So you know, it's not my word, it's what Jose Marti said. And there is something that Jose Marti said that is, I invite everybody to check it because it's very present. There is a speech made by him in Tampa, by the way, in America, to the Cuban community here. The Cubans know about this speech, called it Con Todos y para el bien de todos, where Marti, in a way, is presenting the program for the new world that is going to be developed in order to independent Cuba from Spain. And in that speech, he managed to help all the tendencies and all the positions of the Cuban leadership, let's say, to agree around the subject of Cuba. So, to give you a little bit of context, in that time, there was a position for Cubans who felt Cubans already, but they didn't want to separate drastically from Spain. So they were called reformistas, you know, people that were in the reform mood, you know. There were other people that want to simply unite to the United States, which was, you know, the leader of independent movements of finding your own way to do things, you know. And there were those who simply want to be independent of everything and stand into the ground of being Cubans as a new nation, right? All this energy divided were nothing. So Jose Martin was the guy that was able, the visionary person that was able to see that they all were having something in common, which was Cuba as a new nationality, as a new place. And he bet for that horse. You know, he put all the attention and invite all these parties to understand that later will come time to agree with each other, but before we need to independent ourselves from Spain. You know? It's amazing, really. I mean, I am interested to, if I give me the opportunity to, at the time, to get into the originals and the which I know that exist around in Miami, not in Havana anymore. I would like to dive into archive and to try to see to all these strategies and all the construction that Martí and other leaders of that time they used in order to learn things that could be relevant today. You know, to try to make sense for what is the wise way to go, right? Another question? Are you ready for the future? Are you ready for the future? Good. So let's do that. Well, that was 43 minutes, guys. It's not an hour. I'm kind of like a proud of myself. I'm amazed. I'm getting emotional now. So I will start this. With an existing piece that I wish I could be able to do in New York one day. The title of the piece is "At the head of the table, the people sit." And there is something else that I want to clarify before we see this video. And this is that what you're going to see now is a kind of like a field documentation of the process that includes the process and the video installation performing in a gallery or a cultural center, doesn't matter. Another relevant thing to know up front is that this table that you're going to see that is being served with food goes from one side to the other of the room, so there is no way that somebody can sit at the head of that table. Right? And another relevant, well, the rest, the video is self-explanatory. You will read it in the text that the video will introduce. So I'll now give you the opportunity to see it. Sorry, will you go back? The video that we are seeing now are my discoveries on the earth. So this is the family. I have to say thank you so much to Paola and to Brian for helping me to make a very quick edition of this. This is allowing us to.
You're welcome.
That means spring.
Where was that one?
Brooklyn. Where? Brooklyn.
I need some sanitation.
Yeah. That's the least. I can say least.
Sanitation is the one.
Yeah. I have to say, one thing that comes to my mind immediately when I see that image is, let's imagine an amazing garden. You know, something that is being made in a sort of French tradition, you know. Perfect. The flowers, the whole, all around garden, you know, made with all the knowledge to create something magic. And in the middle of the garden, the fountain is made out of bronze, also tribute to the tradition, with that composition that you saw there. All the pieces of bronze, all complete, one piece of bronze. And the water is flowing like this. The last one. Okay. So, this is it. Thank you so much. the metro still goes, I still need to open the door because of the guy there, or the girl driving doesn't know if somebody's gonna leave the car, so you need to open the door. But nobody else is able to fit inside. So the door is open, I am inside, and I see some people trying to get inside, but impossible. No way, there is no space. There is a big black guy, John Strong, the symbol of you don't want to have a problem with this person, standing on the door and saying, nobody else fits in here, nobody else fits in here. But there is an old lady that somehow managed to go under the guy and enters the car. The guy kind of is surprised. I see already, this is getting spicy, but it's so cool. It's an old lady. An old man, tried to enter as well, and the guy said, hey, mister, no space, forget it, it's not gonna happen. And the guy said, this is happening in the splits of a second. The guy said, excuse me, this is my wife, and I'm gonna enter. You're seeing me entering. So he completely pushed himself in. Somehow energy comes from, I don't know where, as an old person, and he managed and he entered. And then I am on the other side behind the guy